By the end of this video, you'll know the 4 main differences between wild and farm-raised salmon, which variety of salmon is best for you, and how to cook your salmon in a pan both with skin and skinless. And use the chapters feature to skip ahead to the parts you're looking for. So buckle up because there's a lot to cover. Salmon is perhaps the hottest topic on the seafood internet, debating whether you should buy wild or farm-raised salmon. In short, yes, but really, let's break down the 4 key differences so you can decide what's best for you. Now, these differences are taste, fattiness, concerns, and budget. First, wild salmon has a stronger, more salmon-y taste. Farm-raised salmon is much more mild and even buttery. It moves around less, so the flavor isn't as strong. This also influences number 2, fat content. Farm-raised salmon are fattier than wild salmon. That also affects a dish's final form, whether that's flavor or mouthfeel or texture. It is common for restaurants to use farm-raised salmon because of the milder flavor and because higher fat content is more forgiving in a high-paced kitchen. Third, we have potential concerns. In wild salmon, there are a few different concerns that could occur, like parasites. These can typically be cooked out. PCBs, small traces of mercury, or even some leaked pesticide, which is like yikes, but it's low levels. Things like parasites are much less likely in farmed fish, but yeah, it's still possible. Now we have concerns for farm-raised salmon. Conditions have improved immensely in recent years, so contamination from their feed or antibiotics or pharmaceuticals is much lower than it has been, but it is still pretty high. Now, if you plan to eat salmon more than twice a week, go with wild for this reason alone. It is also recommended to remove the skin before cooking if pollutants are a concern. Finally, there's your budget to consider. Wild being more expensive than salmon, and environmental concerns with overfishing in wild environments, which fish farms can help alleviate, but then they bring in their own problems. Again, an area where fish farms have improved immensely in recent years with certifications like ASC and BAP reassuring buyers of the efforts made to keep the farms environmentally sustainable. Now, not all farms are equal, so there is so much more nuance here. Now that we've gone over the 4 key differences, you can better choose which salmon is right for you. There's different varieties in the wild, and some of those are also farmed, and then there's Alaskan, Canadian, Norwegian, Scottish, Chilean, New Zealand. That's not an exhaustive list. The most common farmed salmon is Atlantic salmon, mostly from Norway, and then also from Chile. So these packages are from oceanbox.com's Salmon Lovers Box. We have Atlantic salmon, Norwegian salmon, and king salmon. Now, these are all farmed, but the website does carry wild salmon too. I source my fish and seafood from oceanbox.com. They are a seafood delivery service that anyone in the US can order from. Their specialty is fresh fish. It's so fresh, it's not even frozen. I can attest to how much of a difference that makes. I've learned that fish should smell like the sea, not fishy. And when you taste truly fresh fish, especially salmon, you realize how it's supposed to be. I used to think I needed a lot of sauces and distractions to eat fish, but actually, it just needs to be fresh. Now, their fish gets to you up to 5 days quicker than grocery store or fish store inventory, which is why it's so much fresher. In full disclosure, I make ads and cooking videos for them. I've also eaten nearly everything on the website, so please ask me any questions. I do have an affiliate code for 10% off your first order if you want to try them, and I get a reward for your purchase too. Oh my God, let's cook already. The most common preparation is pan-seared salmon. There are dozens of options for dressings and sauces and garnishes, but they all start with this. So let's master cooking salmon in the pan, and I will demo both with the skin on and off. For both versions, you want to pat it with a paper towel to remove surface moisture to reduce the popping oil. Heat the pan over medium-high heat until the pan is hot. You'll also need a thin spatula, like a fish spatula, and they are good for more than just fish, like burger or even vegetable patties. Then add the oil and let it heat up just until it's shimmering or waving, not smoking. For cooking with the skin on, carefully add the salmon skin side down. For cooking with the skin off, place the presentation side down, the non-skin side down first. That's the only difference. Everything else is the same. Lightly press down at first to keep the edges from curling up, and leave it for up to 9 minutes depending on how thick your fillet is. Keep an eye on the opaqueness changing as it cooks. Once the color change reaches about 2/3 of the way up, the fillet should also be ready to release. So flip and cook for just 2 to 3 more minutes. And this is when you add butter or aromatics like garlic or herbs. Adding it in sooner is likely to burn. And by the way, sometimes you'll know the fish is cooked, but the skin isn't fully releasing. I found that gently encouraging it and having some of the hot fat run under it encourages it to cooperate more. And voila, there it goes. Oh, and see this white stuff on your salmon? Have you ever wondered what that is? It's albumin, and it's a liquid protein, kind of like egg whites. When the muscle fibers contract during cooking, it gets pushed out. It can be reduced by using lower heat when cooking or even soaking the fish in a saltwater brine, but it's safe to eat, or you can just scrape it off. The benefits to cooking with the skin on are locking in more moisture so the flesh doesn't dry out, and for structural integrity. See, on the skinless salmon, it kind of looks dry to me up close. You can eat the skin, so getting it crispy gives an additional texture to the final dish. There are healthy oils in there too, so if you're eating salmon for health benefits, keep the skin on while cooking. Cooking without the skin, however, reduces the fishy flavor, but it's mostly beneficial to keep it on. But if you want to remove salmon skin yourself at home, we need a sharp knife to cut a little notch about 1/4 of an inch at the tail, just to the skin, not through the skin. This serves as a little handle so we can pull the skin tight while the knife gently slides under the meat at a slight angle and starts to cut the meat away from the skin. I used a paper towel to help me get a solid grip on the tail and used long, slow, full swipes to keep the slices even. I was also keeping my fingers around the knife handle close to the table so I could keep the cut smooth and even and close to the skin. And this was immensely satisfying. I mean, look at how good I did. And guess who gets the salmon skin? That's right. Salmon is everywhere because it is so versatile, like pan-seared, like we did here, and then baked, grilled, raw in crudo or tartare or sashimi, packaged in pastry dough like a beef Wellington. And this dish has a specific name to it, choulibiac. And it's super fun to make and to serve. And if you want to see 3 different salmon dishes that add a little luxury in my everyday meals, check out the other videos in my All About Salmon series. I'm Jenna. If you are a home cook, ready to upgrade their kitchen skills, or just want some new creative ideas for your favorite indulgent ingredients, subscribe to Cooking Companion TV, and I'll see you next time.